Greetings, my friends. Welcome to the Grit and Equity Talks podcast with yours truly, Dr. India White. I'm thrilled to be here with you guys. I hope you've had a wonderful start to the month. April's here. I'm super thrilled to be here with all of you. So much is going on. We're super excited about, as the school year is wrapping up, and just so many great things are happening. People are going to conferences. People are getting refreshed. People are birthing wonderful ideas. And so I wanted to say kudos to all of you. So happy to be back among you. With that said, first things first, let's get through some announcements. The Grit and Equity Talks podcast with Dr. India White will be featured on X Factor EDU Network, hosted by Dr. Matthew Joseph. And you can also find it on Spotify. Also, you can also follow me on social media to see it on my main social media platforms. Facebook is Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indie238. YouTube is India White 123. TikTok is Dr. India White. Threads is the same as Instagram, which I believe is Indie238. And Blue Sky, I believe, is Dr. India White. So I look forward to connecting with you guys on there. And then, of course, you can also check out the website, www.india-white.com, for books or blogs, or to schedule me for a speaking or coaching event. I also am thankful for those that have trusted me. Vermont, we had a blast. Thank you so much to everybody at VCTM for allowing me to keynote that wonderful conference. I enjoyed the snow. I enjoyed you wonderful mathematicians and rock stars in Vermont. I enjoyed maple syrup and all that cool stuff. It's really neat. Anyways, I do have some other upcoming events. So I have MCTM in Minnesota that has been scheduled. Also looking forward to FCTM. Looking forward to NCTM's joint conference. I'll see you guys at camps. I hope to see you at NCSM and NCTM as well. Safe travels to everyone that has been coming back from various conferences. And I'm just honored. Thank you to everybody that has given me an opportunity to join you on these platforms. I also wanted to remind you guys of the Grit Mini Workshop. Thank you to those that have been taking advantage of that opportunity, learning about grit, spreading the word. I appreciate those that have supported the Grit movement. Also wanted to say the Grit Academy has been here. We have been tutoring students, so send them our way. We're super excited to help however we can. And then, of course, I also wanted to remind you of the Grit calendars, which were launched this year as well. Super excited to continue to spread the message of grit. And then, speaking of other events, I do want to put a plug in for a group of colleagues, part of the tribe, with Clinic Kids. That is an organization that is doing amazing work nationwide. They will be at Lato High School. For you Tampa natives or those that are in the Tampa Bay community, they will be at Lato High School this Saturday, April 5th. In Tampa Bay. We'll be servicing ages 7 to 10 for session 1 and ages 10 or 11 through 14 in session 2. We'll be talking about mental health. There'll be youth empowerment. There are so many professional athletes that will be there, WNBA, NBA, and whatnot. So please come and see these amazing people. Bring your youth so that they can have a wonderful time of empowerment. They can ask questions and get so much information about mental health, information about, planning for success, financial literacy, and beyond. I hope to also throw in some plugs about grit while we're all there. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm super excited. The event runs from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock, so please come and be there with us. We are super excited about this. Clinic Kids is where it's at. So thank you to all of those in Hillsborough County Public Schools that are supporting this event. Thank you to Lato High School staff for supporting this event as well. And so with that said, I now want to go back to just the basis of the Grit and Equity Talks podcast. So if you're trying to close the achievement gap, but you're having classroom management issues or students aren't motivated to do the work, usually you could jump on here with me doing the Grit and Equity Talks podcast, and we'll talk with you about what we can do to build grit in students or in teachers. So with that said, today I'm super excited, and I want to talk with you about grit. It's how you finish. Why am I talking about grit and that's how you finish? Because I now know that we are at the end of the school year. Students are now testing. Teachers are doing their best to not throw in the towel. Some teachers are being promoted. Some teachers are looking at other opportunities. Teachers are getting their new schedules for what they might, plan on teaching next year. There's so much going on right now in the nation politically and things like that, that many teachers are just trying to figure out how to continue to move forward without catching a case. And so with that said, I want to just send love to all of the teachers and say, you're not alone. We are here for you. We love you. And just continue to persist. And we're going to talk about persisting. But before I get there, I do want to put in a plug, and I am not at all trying to do anything political on the show, but I want to give a perfect example of grit like I've never seen before. I don't think any of us have ever seen this in our lifetime before, where history was made. We had Senator Cory Booker, and he, I believe, is in New Jersey, who was giving a speech, and I got to show it to you. So I want you to see here, this is Senator Cory Booker, and he breaks the record for the longest speech in Senate history. I think this is fabulous. The last person that spoke, it was in the 50s, and they were speaking actually against civil rights. But like I said, I'm not going to go too much in depth about that. But look at this man and what he accomplished.
And Senator Booker is joining me now. And for anybody watching at home, please understand we gave him a chair. He's sitting in a chair right now. The illusion is that he's standing. But for people who don't know, you had to stand the whole time. You couldn't take a bathroom break. The only break of any sort you got was if one of your colleagues would ask you a question to give your voice a break.
Yes.
How are you feeling? Yeah, physically and also emotionally, the longest speech in the history of the U.S. Senate.
Well, I'm physically not in the best shape, but I am emotionally just feeling really fed right now and grateful. And
look at that time. What a man. I hate to interrupt what he's saying. What a man. I am so impressed at this. As someone that speaks, I've never imagined if I had to speak for 25 hours straight. Now, yes, there were people that were asking him questions, but he spoke and was standing for 25 hours and 4 minutes because he was that passionate about his message. And he broke that record before. The record before was only 24 hours, I believe, which is still a very, long time. But he definitely set precedence here and broke this record, and well done. I think the example of grit, he stayed professional. Just beautiful, just a beautiful representation of grit. So, I think this right here can encourage every single person to say that whenever you feel tired, you feel like you can't persist, consider Cory Booker and how he gave a speech for pretty much 25 hours. Longest speech in Senate history.
Just really grateful for a lot of the people who lent support to the effort, and obviously the constituents, the dozens and dozens of folks who gave me their stories, who gave me their hurt, their pain, their anger, their demands of me.
And so this actually, I'm gonna go back to him, but this proves a point that if you have a goal and you're passionate enough, you can finish. You can have the grit you need to meet a goal. Cory Booker was very passionate about things going on in the nation. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about that. But what I am going to say is he represented sheer grit, setting a record that has not been set before in the Senate. Well done to him. And so, it's I do kind of want to hear about like what he did, like methods for building his grit to finish, his goals of getting all the messages out. The thing I love about what he did say, though, is that like all the different stories and all the different reasons to fight, it's like he had a reason to fight. And teachers, principals, leaders, whoever, parents, whatever, we have to have reasons to fight, reasons to win, reasons to build, reasons to create. Why would you be passionate enough to do this? And so let's go back to what he was saying to hear what he had to say about why he was able to do this. I would love to know these mechanisms myself, because I think it's so impressive that he spoke for 25 hours. while many of us are sleeping, he's still defending a case. All right. So let's go back to this man. This is so impressive.
Really humble offers that tell me what I can do. It was some very moving speeches, and then some of my colleagues came on the floor and just told them very emotional stories too that really sourced me through the whole challenge.
It was obviously a very emotional experience. Just one more question on the physicality of it, which is, you were a football star at Stanford University. You're 56 years old now, but you were a football star 20-something years ago. Was this more difficult than being a football star and taking some of those hits on the gridiron?
It was just different, my friend. It was just different. This was real, physical challenge. I had to think of a lot of strategic things to do in order to prepare for it. And then, and you're right, I'm a lot older than that football player, a lot less hair too. So it was a challenge, it was a trial, but I really felt lifted by the energy as Congress people started coming over, a lot of my CBC, Congressional Black Caucus friends. It just turned out to be, when the gallery started filling up, it was a lot of folks' energy that really carried me to try to do as I sort of framed the whole speech with John Lewis's demand to all of us. This spirit just talked a lot about doing good trouble and necessary trouble.
It was a very moving part of your speech.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful what he was saying there, just about so he had a goal. Like, he had John Lewis in his mind. He had his friends. He had members of the caucus. He had so many different things to motivate him and help him to persist. And I think it's just wonderful, because that also speaks to research that talks about having that sense of belonging, and, also having, an end goal, having a reason to be passionate, a reason, to persist. So grit is how you finish. So I think that was beautiful to see how he finished. They did say that he had curbed his water intake and he had fasted to, help him to get through that moment, which is beautiful, because if you're fasting and, if it's intermediate fast or whatever, I don't know what type of fast he did, but he probably didn't care to eat, but well done to him. I think that's amazing. I think, and the thing I love about when you're gritty like that, people tend to listen to you, because you've conquered a feat, like you've done something. He made history, and he was passionate, and it's worth listening to now. It's worth listening to him to hear, why did he break history? Many people are going to have to go through, his threads and his speech and figure out, what was this man talking about? And like I said, this isn't a political show, but I wanted to just give kudos to him, because what an example of sheer grit for all of us. And so, with that said, I want to now continue to move forward. I want to share with you my tips for you for finishing your goals. And then I'm going to talk about what some other rock stars have said about, how they finish marathons and different things like that. So my tips for you guys, how do you finish your goals? First off, I would say, if you are, especially teachers, listen, if you're finishing up the school year, I know there's so much going on. Stay focused on the end goal. What is the end goal? To be honest, to see how many kids you can help succeed this school year. It should not be how many kids you should fail, how many kids you can get expelled, how many kids you can force to drop out because, you're having battles with them, emotional battles. It should be, how many students can I, help be promoted to the next grade level, succeed, graduate, get into college. I one of my pet peeves is if people are dealing with seniors and they're not preparing seniors for life. That is I don't know, that is just something that gets to me. I have a heart for seniors in high school and even college, but more so high school, because they're vulnerable and they're still children. Even though they might be 18 or 17, they are still children in a school setting, and they are relying on adults to give them the right information to prepare them for life, to prepare them for college and career readiness. And so if you are teaching seniors, please hear my heart and do what you can to have mercy. Even if they're a knucklehead and they've done things that have gotten on your nerves, is there any way that you can have compassion and, maybe let them retake a test? Maybe, give them an opportunity, have some type of mercy and compassion and empathy for students. They need you. If you cannot have empathy, compassion, and mercy for students, I love you, but you're in the wrong profession. You should probably find something else to get into, because if your whole goal is not to help students win, what are you doing? Now, I understand some people are like, oh, India, but we have to teach them responsibility. But is it your job to fail them? Is it your job to ruin their lives? I had a situation that, personally, that I regret. And it was I was given a directive to handle a situation with a student. And I did. I followed what was told me. And as a result, the student, yeah, they graduated, but they were not able to go into their prospective field of choice. And I just saw a disappointment come over that student. And I had to know that I had to own that disappointment, because even though I was doing what my leaders told me to do and I was following protocol, we might have ruined that student's trajectory of life when it comes down to what their purpose was. They were very talented, very techie, very talented. And they made some mistakes and they paid the price, but the price also reached into their future and closed some really awesome doors for them. And I kind of regret that. And I think that's why I speak passionately today to teachers and to principals and leaders. Because if you're really having a heart for students, I want you to slow down enough to put yourself in their shoes and to say, am I really setting the student up for success, or am I in the way of their success? And if you, teacher, principal, administrator, whoever you are, if you have gotten to the point where you are burned out and you are sick and tired of it, and maybe you have some type of resentment or disgust or disdain towards students, and you can't have a love for the job and a love for the students, I welcome you to walk away from that profession, because the last thing you want to do is to have it backfire to where now you're ruining, possible careers, possible leaders in society, because you're having a moment. And so I'll digress from that. I just think that we really, we need to shift our focus right now, guys, to helping students finish, helping students win. So, my tips for you: stay focused on the end goal. 2, encourage yourself by remembering past victories. So if you are like, well, I don't know how my students are going to test. Well, have you helped your students pass tests before? I'm sure you have. Have you taught competently before? I'm sure you have. You're certified. You've done what you're supposed to do. So, and then of course, having accountability. Sometimes, like even Senator Cory Booker, who talked about how he had his friends and colleagues come in. I think that's such a powerful thing that took place. But long story short, having people to hold you accountable so that you're not in this thing alone, and people are rooting you on, cheering you on the sideline, like we cheer on our students and our children at different sports events, right? Sporting events. And I think also, knowing your purpose. What is your purpose? So, for instance, if you are in education, what is your purpose? I think your purpose is to help to mold and shape the future of our society, and to help students to be ready for college and career readiness, to help children to evolve into productive citizens of society. I don't think your purpose is to prepare students for the school to prison pipeline. I don't think your purpose is to fail students and have them, feel like they don't matter. I don't think your purpose is to have students leave your classroom suspended and then arrested and then, drop out and you're feeling like they're worthless. I don't think that's your purpose, teachers. I think we have to get back to the lighter side of things, and I think we have to remember why we got into this thing. Remember when we first got our teaching job. Remember when, we first got the district scores back and we saw growth. Remember when, you got that award. Remember when, things went right at the PLC. Remember just different things, having, that growth mindset, Speaking of that, do you have a growth mindset still? Do we have growth mindset still? I know we're towards the end of the year, guys. It's April. We have a good solid May, right? Well, some states up north have longer, I think. We have so much, just about a month, maybe 2 months left with these babies, and then they're done. What can you do left in a month? Now, for some of you that are like, India, I don't know. I'm running out of ideas. Students have clocked out after the tests. The district exams are done. They got accepted into the colleges. They don't care anymore. They're burned out. They're done. Okay. So this is some things, some tips for you teachers and leaders that I think can help. I think having projects or having PBIS events school-wide can help you with this. So if you have a project, one thing I did, I was in the math space, and I would take the book, the textbook, and I would have every chapter. So I would tell the students at the end of the year, you have to teach me math. So I would put the whole book in their hand, and I would have them choose a chapter or like a topic within a chapter. And I mean, if there's like 25 students, this can be done. And I would tell them first come, first serve. It's random. They had to sign up on a clipboard. Which are you teaching fractions? Are you teaching quadratic functions? Are you teaching absolute value? Like, that's just, algebra 1 or whatever. But whatever they were teaching, I would break that up into like strips. And it was first come, first serve. And then they would give a date scheduled where they would have to teach me math. Now, you can do this with maybe a group of 3, or you could do individual projects and count it as a test grade, which is what I would do because we had so much content. I mean, it was not hard to cover the whole book. The reason why I love that is because I took my voice out of it and put their voices back on display. Like I gave it back to them. And so we ended the year with them being the teacher. And they taught each other. They taught me. Then they had like a last like boot camp type of warm up like test or whatever. And then I would give them one like final test if we had time. Sometimes we didn't because it depends on the school calendar. But that's just an idea for you teachers that are looking for something to do. I can help you with that on the side. I don't want to take up too much time on the show, but that can help you with the growth mindset. So I want to encourage you. Do you have a growth mindset still? Why did you get into this? What makes you happy? What makes you laugh? Find the student that makes you laugh. Like find the student that you absolutely love. Like you guys just have such great synergy. The student gives you purpose. Like they make you feel like, oh, wow, like I am making a difference, and pour into that student. Or if maybe you need to focus on the student that you might see as someone that you're not really getting along with, you might call them a knucklehead or something. You might not feel like that student really speaks your language. Well, find out how can you grow as a leader, as a person, do some self-reflection and figure out how can I grow, challenge yourself, to grow to that next level. So those are some things there. Now let's get back to my tips for you. Knowing your purpose, right? So I talked about, it's imperative that you know your purpose. Why are you in education? And then, of course, think about how good it's going to feel when you win, when you finish. How good is that going to feel? Are you trying to, get your students to get higher scores, higher achievement, get into certain colleges? I remember one year helping students get into college. I want to say I had about 40 students that came to me for letters of recommendations that got accepted into college that year. That felt so amazing to me. To know that I had that many students in college right now. I had a little touch. They did the work, of course. I just had a little touch on their success. That made me feel amazing. And I hope you could take something like that in your life where you can say, what makes me feel good about my job? Like, why do I do what I do? And so that you can continue to persist. You're amazing. So be amazing. Your family knows you're amazing. Your friends, everybody loves you. They think you're amazing. Show your students that side of you too. Don't be afraid. Stop holding back. Let them get to know you. All right. Now listen, let's keep going. So think about how good it'll make you feel when you win. And so speaking of that, now I want to talk about speaking of winning and marathons and things like that. I do want to show you guys this rock star who she was talking about running marathons. Kudos to everybody that can run a marathon. I'm not that person. So, she talks about some main ideas of what she does.
Anticipate and plan for obstacles. The reality is a perfect marathon is very, very rare. Even on a marathoner's best or greatest day, there's typically something that goes wrong that they have to maneuver. And honestly, this is really what makes a great marathoner, is not that everything goes perfectly and according to plan, but that they plan for some of those obstacles or challenges to arise, and they know how to get around them in the best way possible so that they can continue on and have a great race, even with that happening. So prepare for the unexpected in whatever could come your way. Well, we've all heard this one before, so I don't want to dwell on it too much, but it's too important not for me to mention. The reality is whatever was the reason that got you out the door when things got hard, kept you showing up through training, is absolutely going to matter in those darkest moments of the marathon. I'm not going to sugarcoat it here, guys, and act like the marathon is just this easy thing if you train well. It will always be hard no matter what. So you just have to be really prepared to bring out that why, bring out that reason, bring out that purpose.
I love what she's saying. And it's so true. No, I have never ran a marathon. I have participated in 5K runs, but not a marathon. I have participated in different walks for different causes, breast cancer awareness, things like that. But no, I have not ran a marathon. So I'm not saying I wouldn't ever think about it, maybe, but I think there's so many wonderful people out there already doing it, and I think they need to continue being fabulous, and I will continue to admire them on the sidelines. So, but it's really neat, some of her pointers. She also talked about chunking out the distance. So no matter what it is, if it's a marathon or if it's something that you're involved in, you've got to write a vision and make it plain. You have to understand what it's going to cost and all that. Visualizing it. She talked about conserving energy, and then she talks about just run. One part about grit is get in there and get dirty. Start running, start doing what you need to do. Finish, make it happen. So I think it's great. I wish we could see more of her, but I don't want to get flagged because you know how that is. And then I also wanted to share with you guys. So I'm grateful for Jane, and it said running with Jane if you want to see her. And then now I want to also talk about growth mindset versus a fixed mindset.
Chemistry defect or some innate problem with them, with their identity, and that there's nothing they can do to change themselves. But the truth is, most people feel stuck because they just don't know how many options they have, how many skills they can develop to improve their mental health. Most people have never received any formal education about how to process emotions or how to improve your mental health. I really believe there's about 500 skills to try or resources to use when it comes to treating depression and anxiety. And you shouldn't say change is hopeless unless you've tried a good number of them. Now, just to be clear, depression and anxiety and other mental health conditions do have biological contributing factors, right? Your biology influences your mental health, but it only influences it to a degree. And there's a whole lot of other things you can do that can also influence your mental health. If you think about problems as an opportunity to learn, it gives you flexibility to develop new skills to solve old problems. A growth mindset can change the nature of all difficulties. So instead of painful emotions being negative, they're seen as an opportunity for growth.
I think that's pretty powerful. I think it's impressive what she said about there's over 500 things you could try for mental health, anxieties, depressions, and things. Wow. I need to get that list. I just think that's really neat because I never knew it was so many options. But we're the human race, right? We're very gritty people. So overall, so with that said, guys, listen. This has been a wonderful show, and like I said, grit. It's how we finish. We need to focus on finishing whatever it is that we put our mind to, and I hope that all of you guys will be able to finish and win. And whatever it is that you put your mind to, as long as it's something that is, productive and is something that can benefit all of us somewhere, somehow. So with that said, thank you so much, rock stars, again for joining me on the Grit and Equity Talks podcast with yours truly, Dr. India White. I'm super thrilled again to be with you. This podcast will be hosted by X Factor EDU Network on Spotify and on all of our social media channels. Thank you, Dr. Matthew Joseph. Please follow me again on social media. Here are my social media channels. Facebook is Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indie238. YouTube is India White 123. And TikTok is Dr. India White. Check out www.india-white.com for books, blogs, or to schedule me for your next speaking or coaching event. Yes, I do still speak. I'm thankful to all of you that have asked me to speak. I've been on over 200 stages, and I give God the glory for that. And I'm thankful for everyone that has given me an opportunity. So let's keep it coming. I will see many of you guys at some of these events here, MCTM in Minnesota, FCTM in Florida, the joint conference in Chicago, camps in Texas, NCSM and NCTM. I believe it's in Atlanta this year. So I'm super excited, and I hope to make it to all of these, and just share grit with all of you. Please remember the Grit Workshop, Grit Grassroots Workshop. Please remember that. Visit the Grassroots Workshops website for that. Also, there's the Grit Calendar that was launched this year. And also, there's the Grit Academy, where I'm honored to teach students and help them with tutoring and things like that. So send them my way. It's nationwide. You can send them my way. And then, of course, if you're trying to close the achievement gap or having classroom management issues or students aren't motivated to do the work, you can always join me on the Grit and Equity Talks podcast. I'd be honored to have a good time with you guys. And so thank you so much for listening. And if you ever want to be on the show, just send me an email at india.white.123@gmail.com, and we will get you scheduled. And so with that said, guys, thanks so much again for joining me on the Grit and Equity Talks podcast. And till next time, stay gritty. See ya.